Look at Shane Dawson. He's like, oh man, not another nobody YouTuber making a video of me. I've been following the Shane Dawson controversy for the most part. I know most of it, all the allegations against him, all the evidence, all the receipts, and I kind of wanted to talk about it because I don't know, man. When it comes to Shane Dawson, I don't know if he honestly deserves to be canceled the way he has. So with Shane Dawson, he has gotten a lot of critique for videos he has made in the past. Um, his blackface, he did blackface. He made a couple of racist videos. You know, it's all racist humor. And I'm not gonna cover the makeup drama that he has with Jeffree Star and the others, because frankly I don't care at all about the makeup world. But I do want the thing that I really wanted to talk about is about his pedophilia controversies, or pedo pedo humor that he's accused of having in the past. So I think I've seen most of the damning evidence that they have used against him. Um, One was from like a podcast he had with a girl, and he was talking about like an influencer, a young influencer. I think she was 6 years old, and he called her, and he said, "No, she was like sexy or something like that." And in that same podcast, he talked about pedophilia as a fetish, and he was kind of playing devil's advocate for it. To me, I've heard the clips many times, and it really comes off as a joke. He seems like he's talking about that topic with a very detached sense that he's not into it. He's just kind of making fun of it, and at the same time, kind of curious about it. Why pedos think that way? In that case, I think he was just talking about um, these young influencers that are kids that in this case it would be female little girls that look like they're all grown up, and they even pose, I guess, and shit, I don't want to say it because I'm gonna sound exactly like him, but they they try to portray themselves like the way grown up women do with alluring poses and stuff like that. And that I think that's what he was talking about in that podcast. So I don't think in that particular case the evidence is like very strong against him that he's pro pedophilia. He was kind of like making fun of it and actually, saying some real shit about that, which, nowadays you can't say anything about stuff like that because you're obviously gonna be labeled a pedo like that. But in my opinion, he wasn't, you know, saying he was for it. He was just kind of making some jokes and some observations about it. The other case is about Willow Smith. I guess it would be another one. It would be where there's like a clip of him watching a video of Willow Smith where she made that song that said, "I whip my hair back and forth, I whip my hair back and forth." Right? I think people remember that song. I don't know if they do, but it was kind of like he made a clip and he was listening to the song and he was acting like, "Oh yeah, Willow Smith shit. I don't want to do it like he does." So, but he was kind of like portraying himself like he was excited about hearing that song, and he kind of hinted that he was like masturbating to it, and again that was inappropriate, super inappropriate. But I think in that case again it was a joke. He was, I think, maybe making fun of how pedos react to that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know. To me personally, it seemed like a joke. I know it offended the Smith family, and rightfully so, because it's their daughter. I understand all that, and he should have gotten scolded by that one, and he did. But to me, again, it was a joke. There was another case another clip. There's another clip where he's talking about his. I'm not really sure if it's his niece or his little cousin. I'm not really sure. He says in the beginning of that video, um, I have a lot of pedo viewers, so you better like act up in this video or something like that. He says to the niece. That one I felt it was very inappropriate. And it wasn't funny at all. That one like to me at least. I know humor is subjective, but to me at least that one didn't seem like a joke at all. And if it was a joke, it wasn't really funny at all. And then I think he says twerk a little bit for the camera or something like that. And I think he asked in another video to twerk. I'll ask a little girl to twerk too. Mind you, this was back in I don't know a couple years or back when times weren't as hypersensitive as they are now. And that video, that clip in particular, yeah, I cannot defend it. I can't say it was a joke because even if it was a joke, it was very inappropriate. There's another one where he's with his ex-girlfriend, and I think they're talking to the same niece or little cousin, and they were talking about her period and boys and sex, and that one is I think that's the most uncomfortable one out of them all, and that one was super inappropriate too. I mean, like it's cringe to watch it. I don't know what was going through his head. It seemed very much like he was trying to corrupt the innocent, trying to have conversations with a girl. I think she was 13 or 12, and he was just trying to have this grown-up conversations with her, and it seemed super inappropriate. And I don't know why he did that. One other thing that I want to talk about is that on that same regard, with Shane Dawson, I'm not a super big fan of Shane Dawson. I'm not a regular viewer. I have seen some of his stuff, and I've liked some of his stuff. Like I've seen some of his documentaries that he's done on Jake Paul and on Jeffrey and a couple of other random videos. I would say I've seen my fair share, not super a lot, but I wouldn't call myself a super fan. Not to, and I wouldn't absolve him of all the inappropriate thing he's done. But there's a couple of videos that he has where he adopts a little kid, or I think he has made a couple of them, where he adopts a little kid for Christmas, or he adopts just a little kid to prank his mom or whatever. And he tries to play dad in those videos, and you can see on the thumbnails he's like hugging them, and those videos I remember seeing way back when, way before the controversy, and just being uncomfortable by them because I don't like it. I really don't understand why he would use that kind of content. I really didn't like those videos. They made me uncomfortable because when it comes to kids, man, it's a very sensitive thing, and adopting a kid just to flaunt them off or make content about him just doesn't sit right by me. It's not worth it. I don't know. The thing is, I don't. It doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't. I'm not a person that watches family friendly content with kids and the maybe to some viewers out there they like that. Oh, he's playing that, and it's kind of like he's playing house. Maybe they like that. I've seen some of the comments in the videos, and some people liked it. I personally never liked it. Even when they came back back in 2016, I think, or 2016. That was around the time that he made those. I never liked those videos, and honestly, it's kind of creepy that he does that kind of content. I don't think he does it anymore. Which comes to my next point, which is the contrast between old Shane Dawson and new Shane Dawson. Um, Old Shane Dawson was very edgy, and 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 I'm talking not super young. Shane Dawson was trying to be very edgy with racist jokes and awful. I mean, I didn't like his skits. They seem like almost at the level of Onision's skits, where I just gotta hate those skits. They're not funny to me at all. But that was old Shane Dawson. Then he kind of matured a little bit. Fast forward to this new Shane Dawson, and to my knowledge, I don't see him making that kind of content anymore at all. He has really shifted his point of view, and I think he has really, like most viewers or like most creators that were OG YouTuber creators that did that kind of stuff in the past. He has kind of adapted to the mentality that we have now in this current years, this in 2020, where we live in hypersensitive times. Um, like Yana Marbles, which she quit YouTube just because she got the same accusations, uh, like made to her about she was being racist, and she showed the videos that she did. She did admit that she did racist stuff in the past, but again, that was stuff that used to be okay in the past. Obviously, it's offensive humor. It is, and it's racial humor, but that used to be more acceptable a couple of years back. People didn't make that much of a big deal about it. And he has the same problem that Jenna Marble has, and a couple of content creators have that same problem. They're being judged by their old content where the atmosphere back then was very different than it is now. It's amazing to me that we expect people to have the foresight to know how sensitive the culture is going to be 20 years in advance. We kind of expect them to be that advanced, that like we know now that it was wrong, and we expect them to know back then that it was wrong too, which in a way it was. But again, we are a product of our current times. It's very hard to implant this mentality that they should have that mindset way back then. Back then, when it was more acceptable to make edgy content like that without any sort of public backlash, like it is nowadays. So it's amazing to me that like I said, they expect people to know what's going to happen 5 years or 10 years later in this ever shifting culture where you don't know what's going to be appropriate 5 years from now or 10 years from now or even 3 years from now. You never know what is going to be the new offensive thing that you can say, or what's going to be the new thing that people are going to be mad about. You can only expect that people live in the current times that they live in, that they adapt to the current times that they live in, because they don't know what the future holds. And just like what happened with Jenna and Shane and other creators, if they keep digging through their old backlog of stuff, they're gonna keep finding stuff that was very inappropriate for these times, but they weren't for the times the videos were made. And are we gonna cancel all of them? Are we gonna keep using those things as evidence that they were shitty people? Where the current times were shitty, not just them. They were just people living in the current times. So that's why, in my personal opinion, there's not enough here to cancel Shane Dawson. Even though those clips and that evidence they did show a pattern that he used to talk very inappropriate things with kids, and he used to have very inappropriate conversations about the that pedophilia subject. That's true, and that's really something I can't defend. But it was a very different time back then, and if you take into account that kind of content that he makes is such a small percentage of the overall content that he makes. It's not something that defines Shane's content. It would be like, to put a number, it would be like 5% or maybe even less of his all overall content that he makes. It's a very small percent. It doesn't define him as a content creator, that he only goes for that edgy humor with kids. Another thing is that if you contrast it with all the allegations that you see from other creators that actually willfully talk to minors and go into their DMs and ask for nudes and ask for all that perverted shit. Shane hasn't done any of that, to my knowledge. Again, um, there's I haven't seen any evidence that he actually has, have used any minor for his sexual gratification or anything like that. He was just kind of talking and making edgy jokes about that inappropriate subject. Um, and for that reason, I would say he doesn't deserve to be canceled. He did deserve to be called out on it. I do agree with that. So it shows the pattern that he had that was toxic about talking about that subject. But since he have changed and he has left that all behind, I would say that yeah, that's not enough for him. That's not enough for to cancel him. Okay. Shit, I keep stirring. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there because I don't know what to say about the subject.